My name is Kayden Coleman, and welcome to We Don't Owe You Shit. So today I have a very special guest with me. This is going to be my first virtual interview of many, I hope. We have Mari, who is a longtime friend of mine. You all know me as a Seahorse dad. And just FYI, if you hear my child in the background, y'all already know what's up. So Mari is also a Seahorse dad. And we're going to get into all of the details about that, but we're just going to jump right into it and get this conversation rolling. So, first, Mari, tell us who you are, your name, age, and where you're from.
I'm Mari Penn Griffey. I'm originally from Virginia. I've been living in New York City for like 9 years, and I'm 29.
29 years old. And we just had the conversation that you're a know it all ass Virgo. Um, so, if you know, I, you, I did date a Virgo once, and talking to him was like talking to a wall. It's like once y'all decide that you're right, you don't hear nothing else.
Because we're right, and like one thing about a
Oh,
Virgo, don't give you facts. Anything that like is very factual.
yeah, but here's the thing. Believing something doesn't make it vehemently believing in something does not make it a fact. Like you could present a Virgo with facts and they'll be like, no, that's not the facts. My facts are the only facts.
This
And
month
you
was
laughing because you know it's true.
it's an August Virgo. It's an
Oh,
August.
yeah. I hate a bitch. It's always, whenever you talk about signs, whenever you give like a fact about a sign, they'll always say it's the other month.
Mm-hmm.
Geminis, that must be a May Gemini because June, you'd be like, I'm sorry, a July Gemini or whatever month. Y'all
Yeah.
always blame somebody else. It's you. It's the whole sign. But anyway, moving right along. So I've known you for mad long.
Right.
Um, I don't even remember if it was pre-T or like at the very beginning of.
I feel like the
It might
very
have been the very. I believe it was the very beginning. Yeah. But we've never had any real in-depth conversations. And for those who don't know, like me and Mari used to be turn up buddies, baby. When I lived in New York City, it would be what you doing tonight? Nothing.
right.
What you doing tonight? You want to
Thank
meet up at such and such? Yup. You got a bottle? Yup. Let's go. And we used to go out and have the time. Like, man, wake up the next morning and be like, what happened? We used to have a time. This is before, real responsibilities and whatnot, right? Um, but we never really had those in-depth conversations, right? So like we never talked about life and what was going on and all that stuff, and we damn sure didn't talk about kids. So did you always see yourself carrying your own children?
So I did want biological children. I had a surrogate that I trusted because that could be like a legal factor, but they end up catching cancer. I never knew how I was going to ever have like biological children. I feel like the life choices that I made by dating like a trans woman and you know us, and
Doing the things that you do?
yeah, we hit fine and babies were created. So
Okay. So you weren't always thinking about carrying your child. It just happened and you were like, okay, well this is you've always wanted kids.
right,
It was just you didn't see it wasn't like you saw yourself doing it. You always thought somebody else would have to do it for you, kind of
absolutely.
thing. Okay. It was that like a personal thing, or were you thinking that like testosterone was going to make you so you wouldn't be able to have kids, or like what?
Well, like when you do start testosterone, like in that very beginning, before they give you that T, you sign over these rights and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So if something do happen to you, you can't hold the doctor responsible. I just thought that by me not having like menstrual cycles and stuff like that, I was not ovulating, and that is not the truth.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's crazy. I started transitioning almost 15 years ago, going on 15 years, and I don't remember having to sign any kind of waiver or anything, but I do remember the doctors telling me, like, look, you're probably never going to be able to have kids. And I was like, child, I don't want no kids anyway. Fine. That's perfectly fine with me. Like, that's fine. And look at us both looking stupid. Anyway, um, so I remember and I'll let you tell the story, but I remember when you first called me. I'll never forget it because I was visiting. I was in Philly. I was in West Philly going to this place called Banana Moose, right? That has dope ass food, desserts, right? And I get this call from Mari, and he was making it seem so urgent, but he kept saying it was about his friend. He was like, he needs some advice for his friend. And I'm like, child, okay, like whatever. Now, if I would have known it was about Mari, I'd have stopped everything and been like, what's up? So he hits me up and he's like, yo, I have this friend and he just found out he's pregnant and he needs some advice. Come to find out, you were that friend,
Right.
right? So, what made you feel like you should hide that you were pregnant, like even from somebody like me who's been pregnant?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did not know how to react, and I just never had that chance to be around pregnant people. Only thing I knew that I was going to be showing, like I was just like I was kind of frightened, honestly. Um, like it was much emotions that were going through my mind at that,
I
and
can understand that.
you know, I was like,
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. I can understand that. I always wondered, like, well, it's me. Like,
yeah,
of all the people you like, what? But I guess I can understand. You know what I mean? And I remember getting off the phone and being like, well, I
it's
don't know what he wanted me to tell him. I don't know nothing about his friend. And then it was a few weeks later. Here he go. Yeah. So remember when because I remember I was with my best friend Jasmine, and I was like, I wonder if it's him that's pregnant because that's just really weird. Like he's not trying to give me no information. And then a few weeks later, he hits me up. He's like, "You remember when I told you it was my friend? It was actually me." And I was like, "I knew it. I knew it." And immediately, like I went into daddy mode. Not
Mhm.
like I'm your daddy, but like I went into parent mode, and I was like, "All right, so here's what you need." But I felt like you reached out to me for a reason. But so the question is, did you have any support? Like,
Yes, like my mother and my sister was very supportive. Me and my partner and stuff like that, me and her was pretty much still like gagging, you know.
yeah,
It, it was a big thing for both of us, and we didn't want the situations to challenge our transition because it's
mm,
like, you know, so it's so sensitive around us, you know. We
yeah,
have to be very sensitive to each other, you know.
understood completely. And that actually segues perfectly into my next question was, well, my kids have two dads, right? Both of my kids, we have two dads. Your kids have a mom and dad, but not in the traditional sense,
Mhm.
right? So you already mentioned that your partner's a trans woman. How do people usually react to that? Now that you're more open about it, obviously, like what are people's reactions?
Well, like the people that personally know us and stuff like that, they're very supportive. But online and stuff like that, you do get those questions like, why would either one of y'all ever transition? And basically, it's like society is like, okay, we know what kind of genitalia you have between your legs, but if you transition, don't you supposed to like this genital? So it's so weird.
Yeah,
Post
absolutely. And
and
and and the craziest part is you damned if you do, you damned if you don't, because they say the same exact thing to me. You
hmm
know what I'm saying? And it comes from this space of feeling like we as trans men have to reject
hmm
anything that's not a vagina. Because they think we all transition to date women, which
right,
I mean, you were cis women, to be
right,
clear, or post-op trans women. We're
right,
not supposed to like penis. We're not supposed to like lady sticks, whatever,
yeah,
however people refer to their stuff. We're not supposed to like penetration. We're not
right,
supposed to enjoy it. We're supposed to reject all things considered feminine, which is strange because cisgender gay men get penetrated all the time. And nobody's like, well, why don't you transition?
right,
Right? If you want to be a bottom, why don't you just be a woman? Nobody
mm,
does that.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So what is your response when people say that if a trans man dates a trans woman, then you should have just stayed the gender you were assigned as? So saying that you should have stayed a girl and your partner should have stayed a boy. What is your response to that? Like, what do you usually say, if anything?
I mean, honestly, like me transitioning had nothing to do with whoever gender I'm attracted to. And honestly, I whatever whoever I'm attracted to, I'm attracted to them. So genitalia never asked me. If I like your personality as a person, and some people would never understand because they still think in binary thoughts. It's like talking to a brick wall. You have your beliefs. I'm not going to give you that time. Like, you want me to entertain this energy? You want to take me?
Hmm. And usually that's what it is. They're trying to poke the bear. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? They're trying to get a reaction out of you. And one thing I've noticed, because I every time I see you post a video or something, what our thing as people now is to click the comments to see what the fuck people got to say, because people always got something to fuck to say. And I don't play, so my whole thing is I be ready. Like,
Yeah,
but I've noticed that a lot of people will be like, "Well, it's a legitimate question." Yes and no, because a lot of the times, yes, you might want to know this thing,
mhm.
but a lot of the times you can tell that people are trying to ask these questions because they're trying to be the fuck funny, and they're
Right,
trying to berate you, and they're trying to say, well, you just did all that for no reason. But it's just crazy as fuck for people to think that we literally like woke up one day and said, you know what, I want to date this particular type of person with this particular type of genitalia only, and so I'm going to do all of these things and basically flip my life upside down and put myself in danger
mhm.
and in a space where I could possibly be unalived or sexually assaulted or whatever the case may be, just so that I can date these particular people with these particular genitalia, and that's it. Like, that's crazy as hell. I know when I transitioned, I wasn't even thinking about who I was going to date. I was thinking about what was going to make me happy.
Exactly. And you
Yeah.
have to first before you even date somebody. I got comfortable within my own skin. This is what
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So let's talk about your pregnancy. So you didn't found out you were pregnant. You didn't
right.
lied to Kayden. You didn't came out and told the truth to Kayden. Now you're pregnant. What were I already know because we were talking, but what were some of the moments that stick out to you during your pregnancy itself, like before labor? Like, what were some of the thoughts that went through your head? What were some of the, when you had to go outside, when you
Oh,
had to, you know what I mean?
right. I say the most like because during the pregnancy you have to go to a women clinic and it says women clinic and guess what you're in there with women that are pregnant and stuff like that. So you get those stares and at the point like in my first pregnancy, it was like that. I needed like protection. I was just like so uncertain and things because really uncomfortable because I never experienced being trans visible. So I'm very visible right now,
Mm-hmm.
trans and pregnant, and you have to like wait in line to get your blood drawn. So it was never really 100% private, even though when you go there to talk to your OB, they close the door, but
Mm-hmm.
you're still visible.
Yeah.
It's just that people judge and stuff like that. They don't even know you.
Mm-hmm. Did
Uh,
you deal with a lot of like misgendering when you went to these appointments?
no. I
Okay.
can absolutely say that was the best part. I had like a great team. It was just being out and during COVID, it was so many people that was pregnant. So it was to the point like
They didn't have nothing else to do.
I was trying to go early, but it was just a no win situation for me. It was just given like everybody got pregnant during COVID. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was just about to ask. I was about to say, yeah, you were pregnant with Zach during COVID.
yeah.
So but it wasn't at the height of COVID, right? It wasn't like, or was it? I can't remember at this
COVID
point.
2020, right? Like he was born in 2021.
Yeah.
So pregnant through that whole year. So good thing I did not go into a year didn't have him, but I was pregnant through that whole year. So yeah.
At what when was Zach? When's his birthday?
December 24th, 2021. So he
Oh,
almost
okay. So you were pregnant the entire year of 2021, and that's right around the time when COVID was starting to let up at least a little bit.
right, exactly.
So that's at least you had that. But yeah,
Mhm.
everybody spent 2020 hunching,
Yeah.
including you, because they didn't have, like, everybody was in the house.
Yeah.
Bored in the house, might as well hunt. Um, okay, so like, what other things did you experience during your pregnancy that stick out for you?
I'm gonna try to also do a pro and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Positive is just that I never like I said before, I never experienced being around anybody that was pregnant. So it was definitely great to feel like the baby movement in my stomach. Even though I was going through gender dysphoria, you can't help to know that this is part of you,
Hmm.
you created. So at the same time, I love my children, and it made me be comfortable in my body because at first I never really wanted to disclose I was transgendered. So it just made it like this whole experience made me accept everything and love everything about myself. So now that's why I'm pretty much open about it.
I love that. That's actually really dope, and I love that you didn't just focus on. I purposely didn't word it in a way of like, what were some of the obstacles that you face? I said, what are some of the moments that stuck out for you? And I'm glad that you didn't just stick on the negative, because I've noticed that as trans people, but specifically as Black trans people, people are always looking for what I call trauma porn.
Right.
People are always looking for us to be like the victim, for us, oh, that pathetic, oh, poor baby, let me come help you, kind of thing. um when you mentioned the baby moving, um I had to like chuckle to myself because, the baby moving for me was cute at first, but then it was like, all right, chill out.
Right,
Like,
right,
that feeling is so weird. It's so weird, and it's annoying, especially like if you're trying to go to sleep and they kicking all on your abdomen and shit, flipping around, and you like, just can you go to bed?
right.
And still, right now, it's like, can you go to bed? It's like, what? But that's really dope. I remember a conversation that we had. So, right before, well, not right before, a little bit before you became pregnant, you were a gym rat,
Yeah,
and you kept expressing to me how much you wanted to go to the gym,
yeah.
and you wouldn't go. And I kept saying, Mari, you can go to the gym, take your ass to the gym. And of course, I'm giving this man all of this advice, and he's not listening to me. Um, I got this man a doula who was in New York City, a really good doula. Shout out to Shishi Rose, by the way. And you should reach out to her again, but I'm just gonna shut my fat ass up. And she pro bono just wanted to make sure that he was good, and he was like, "No, I just don't feel right doing it." And I was like, "Okay," which I get, I understand, but you know, I I tried to pull you out of your shell, and so I know that was one of your big regrets, not staying in the gym
Yes.
during your pregnancy. Um, so, what was labor like for you?
I labored for like 32 hours. I end up getting the epidural, which it was no reason for me to get it because it came out my back and I had a natural birth. It was probably like it was terrible. But before I got to the labor part, my OB was perfect and stuff like that. I'm gonna say that, and she made sure, like we had everything planned. She made sure to let the nurse know and let her team know. And honestly,
Would you be comfortable sharing her the name of her practice or whatever, so that people in, at least in the city, I know you're in Manhattan, right?
right.
People in the city can at least know that there's one trans competent person there,
Yeah.
because I didn't get that experience. But go ahead. What's the name of their practice?
So basically, Mount Sinai, and that's on 59th and Columbus, and I had her
Well, that
name
makes
is
sense. Yeah, Mount Sinai makes sense.
right.
And if you
And
don't know about Mount Sinai, if you're not from New York, Mount Sinai, they do trans care, so it makes sense that their staff is trans competent. Granted, there are a lot of places where they can still do trans care and not be competent, but trans folks, if you're in New York City, considering having a baby, even if you want GYN care and you're not pregnant, hit up Mount Sinai if your
right,
insurance would allow you. I couldn't
right.
go because of my insurance. So anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it popped into my head. So continue. Your OB was amazing. Uh huh.
Name is Dr. Emily Smith Buchet. So like even now I'm going back to her. She's like just
Of
handled.
course. That's
Uh,
really dope.
mhm.
And so you were in label for 32 hours, you said?
Yes.
Jesus. And you had a natural birth. Uh, I just, I've had two kids, but both of my kids are C sections, and I just still to this day could never imagine. It just doesn't resonate with my spirit. Anything coming out of my
God.
vajay.
Oh my gosh. And I ripped. Like
Oh,
I ripped from the side. They literally had to sew me like without
from the
any.
rooter to the tutor, huh?
Yeah, they had to sew
Ooh.
me inside. The stitches, thank God, solvable. And I felt everything. It was just it was because his head was not like right. It was turned to the side when he came out, so he
Uh-huh.
wasn't crying. I they actually had to take him to the table real quick, and he ended up crying. And as soon as that, I had to make sure to do skin. Like that was
Yeah.
the most important.
Yeah. And I feel like you're very lucky in that sense because I didn't get to do skin to skin right away. Because I was numb. Like
Yeah,
I was numb from here down.
yeah,
Yeah.
make
So I didn't get to do skin to skin with my first child. Um it I don't even remember how long it took, but with Journey was a month early. Remember, she was a preemie, so they had to take her
right.
downstairs and monitor her glucose level for a certain amount of hours. As soon as that time hit, I was like, "Take me downstairs." They were taking too long. I was like, "Either y'all take me downstairs, or I'm going to walk down there." C-section and
Hmm.
all. So they took me downstairs, but I had to wait both times. So it's really dope that you were able to do skin to skin right away because that is super important. Um, and in my opinion, and from what I've heard, really lowers postpartum depression. And speaking of postpartum depression, did you experience any type of what was your postpartum experience like?
Um, my postpartum experience was like I never wanted to be away from my son. I would like have anxiety being away from him like super long. When he got like sick and stuff like that, because he ended up having like COVID, like I would take it very serious. Like I wanted just
Mm-hmm.
for him to just, like shelter him, like, and just be that one protector. And I really like it was really just me wanting to be underneath. I didn't have that time that I was doing for myself. I just wanted to just like just care for him, and I wasn't dealing with my own mental health, what I experienced, because as post
Mm-hmm.
the person that carried the babies is sometimes pretty much neglected because of the infant, and even the person that carries sometimes they have to neglect themselves to be that that parent. But it's also good just to have that balance for yourself as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Mhm.
Agreed. Um, yeah, it's kind of surreal hearing your experience because the way my postpartum was set up, I couldn't be up under especially my oldest.
Yeah.
Being around her, I would go into a complete panic attack. That's how I had postpartum PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So, because of how traumatic the whole experience was for me. So, I often wonder what it feels like to want to, to have that kind of connection. I kind of had it with Journey, but I was so worried about having that same experience again
Yeah.
that, like, as soon as I had her, I was like so worried about getting back into the swing of things because I was afraid of going back into that depression because it was scary as hell. So, if you could go back and do anything differently, what would you do?
I would go back to like my whole experience with Zach because he's a great baby. I love him. I would have definitely been out more. I would have just really focused on me instead of like society with you. And
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I've kind of always tried to put myself in this norm society box, and I would never be there. It's just who I am. So you have to be yourself. You have to really live for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
I would have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Dope. So, we
Yeah.
are pregnant again with baby number two. How far along are you, and how's everything going so far?
I'm 15 weeks. I'm starting to feel good again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was rough. It's totally two different experience. You probably could tell me something about that. Like totally two different.
It was. I got very lucky in both of my pregnancies where I did not experience any kind of morning
Oh,
sickness or anything like that. But
yeah.
I will say that like pregnancy symptoms with the second child seem to be more intense.
Hmm.
I started experiencing things earlier than I did with my first, and I think because of my, with my oldest, I didn't find out till I was 5.5 months. Um,
Yeah.
but that experience made me on high alert. So when I
Right.
started experiencing these symptoms, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm pregnant," kind of thing. Um, and I knew kind of what to expect, but it was a bit more intense. I will like it was definitely more intense, and you know, the older you get, it don't get easier. It don't get easier. Um, and this time he actually just hit me up and told me, um,
One
and
my top three I told. Like
yeah, like, and I was like,
yeah.
when I saw the text messages, I was like, what? Like, how did that even happen? And I was like, hey, do what you got to do. I had a feeling that you were gonna go forward with this one, so I'm really hyped for you, and I feel, you know, um, like a proud god. I was gonna say grandparent, but bitch, I'm not that old. Relax. Godparent or something. Okay, so I remember you telling me that being pregnant kind of changed your views on gender identity.
Yes.
Um, and in the sense of like the binary, and
Hmm.
I remember you saying like you were at that time you were feeling more less in the binary and more towards non-binary spaces. Um, is that still how you feel? And if so, has your identity or how you like to be referred to shifted at all?
I still feel like non-binary just because of who I am and my experience. I still go by male pronouns and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But I don't like to put myself in like any type of gender, any type of box. I just don't feel, I it just doesn't sit well with me in any type of box and stuff like that. Like,
You listen, and that's enough. That's more than enough of an explanation. Like I feel like people always feel like they need to explain further what their gender identity looks like.
yeah,
I am a binary trans man. A
yeah,
lot of people are very shocked about that because they're like, "How?" But
right.
I am a binary trans man. I don't consider myself non-binary. I am very binary and always have been. And I
Hmm.
think that people can be whoever they want to be as long as they're not being problematic or harmful to anyone else. And I'm a very avid supporter of non-binary, two-spirit, genderqueer, gender fluid, androgynous, etc., etc., etc. people. I feel like everybody deserves respect, and I feel like nobody owes anybody shit. Hence the name
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
podcast, right? So just everybody heard him. He still uses he, him pronouns, so be respectful. Um, but that's really dope that, you're more non-binary. Now, that doesn't change the way that you want your kids to refer to you, does it?
no,
You're still dad, right?
absolutely.
Got it. I kind of knew that, but just I know people are gonna. So do people call him mom or dad?
Right.
Dad.
Yeah.
Um, so you kind of already touched on this. What made you decide to publicly document your pregnancy journey this time around?
Um. Again, I wanted something to go back and reflect on, and you see these other, like, you see cisgendered women, they can document and put this like all out. First time I didn't want to be like judged, but honestly, again, like I had to find that courage within myself and honestly see, like, only thing that matters in life is your opinion of yourself. And I had to understand that. I'd be a people
Hmm.
pleaser.
I've been trying to tell you that for years, but I'm so glad we're here. Um, how do you deal with trolls and negative comments?
Sometime I'm petty. Sometimes I'll just get petty, but I really try to like distinguish like which people that really need like trying to understand and
Hmm.
art these days because some people will make fake page just to troll you.
Yep.
They won't have one follower, but they will make sure
One.
to see what you're doing in your life. And I'm like, yo, you must be miserable. Because if I
Yeah.
don't care about what's going on, it does nothing to do like have anything to do with your life. Like, come on.
I literally say that all the time.
It's going to the point like I've seen people like exaggerate it like yeah now we have to deal with this stuff in our school and having to teach our children this like so
You have to teach your children that people exist. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
right.
Poor kids. And one of the things that stick out to me whenever people use school, I think it's really dope that I have an older kid, and I talk to Zay about it often.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a TikTok, and a lot of the time she just sits in the background and like likes my stuff and everything, or talks to me about it. But every once in a while she'll respond to a troll, and they'll be like, oh well, they're going to be confused and they're going to get bullied in school. And I remember that comment happened, and Zay was like, actually, I don't get bullied in school. I'm actually really popular because of my dad, and everybody thinks it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people it's not the kids, it's the parents.
Right.
The kids aren't confused, you
Right.
know? And that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, how do you feel about people who say that our kids will be confused or unhappy because we're trans?
I feel like it's ignorance to them, and I don't even know if I can just use ignorance and stuff like that. It's pure hate because ignorance is just you not knowing.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
you choose this belief. You choose to make it seem like it's a virus or it's something that somebody can just like get or something like that. Like no
Right.
one force you to be something that you're not. Only thing that trans people are asking for is respect. It's like what any human being would want.
Exactly.
We
And
shouldn't have
deserved.
to anybody.
Right. And to assume that our gender identity will somehow have a negative effect on our children is so weird.
Yeah.
And I always be like, well, why don't y'all have the same energy when cisgender people are offing their kids or sexually abusing their kids or neglecting their children or outwardly physically abusing their kids? And you don't have that same energy. They put so much energy and strokes on the keyboard towards trans people and how we're tearing up the kids or fucking up the kids, but they're not pointing those same fingers back at themselves. Whereas the majority of the abuse cases, which I'm actually doing some research on as we speak, come from cisgender heterosexual people,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, so, yeah. So let's lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I know everybody is just dying to know what's your current relationship status?
It's complicated.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's
It's
complicated.
it's complicated because like I definitely love the person I created my children. I love her, like in love with her and stuff like that. But it's certain things that we both do battle with and that we both have to overcome and just get that you know, that help, that therapy
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So are y'all working on things? I'm nosy as hell. Are y'all working on things or
Uh
actively, or is it like a passive, like whatever happens happens? I guess the people want to know,
um
can they slide in the DMs, yes or no?
I honestly like I always like to see people shoot their shots and stuff like that. Just but honestly, like it's like I do have this attachment to her and stuff like that.
Of
It's
course.
it's definitely I'm gonna just give it like we'll just see what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen between me and her, but we'll see what
But
happens.
y'all aren't currently together. So if people want to slide in the DMs,
Yeah, we're currently it's complicated, but it
okay.
still gives.
shoot your shot if you feel like if you feel like you that bitch, shoot your shot.
Right.
And the people do want to know, do you only date women or
So the thing about that, like, I date women, either trans and stuff like that. I really don't care about that. I'm attracted to trans men. I don't. I cannot see myself with a cis man or anything like that. But definitely the
I
attract.
know I hold on. I know so many people listening's hearts just dropped into their assholes. He said he don't really. So cis man, that doesn't put you out of the running, but
Right.
you gonna have to be the baddest bit. You know what I'm saying? Like the odds are may the odds be ever in your favor is what he's saying. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But I definitely is attracted to femininity. So yeah.
So feminine trans men, hello? Hello? Okay. So what do you hope to gain by being visible as a seahorse dad?
um, I just want to take that stigma and have trans masculine people. You can carry, you can bear your child. I don't care like what society says and stuff like that, because I've actually had aggressive women write me too, just because of the persona what they give
Oh,
to.
oh.
You don't have to fit in that box. It's okay to be you and to create if that's what you can do, you know?
Exactly. If you have the parts, why not? Right?
Exactly.
If that's what you want to do.
Hmm.
All right, beautiful. So where can the people find you?
I'm in New York City right now, but soon.
Not like address on social media.
Oh, oh, oh yeah, IG Mari, Mar Penn Griffey underscore. My TikTok is Penn Griffey 93, I think. That's like the best.
Okay. Okay. So I'll make sure to add that in the caption so that everybody can um, shoot their shot. Or now I'm just going to caveat and advocate on behalf of Mari. Don't start overriding his inbox with a bunch of transition questions and pregnancy questions and all that stuff, because the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to become his agent and I'm going to make him start charging y'all, because sometimes y'all be dragging it. Do your own research and go back to his videos. He's already answered a ton of questions. I also have answered a ton of questions. Other seahorse dads have answered a ton of questions. And remember that somebody being visible does not mean that they are at your disposal.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's the end.
Yeah,
That was harmless, right?
absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you so much. Fun fact, I'll probably be in New York towards the end of May.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know we can't turn up, but we can go get a bite to eat or something. And I want to meet Zach. I'm
We
not
should.
going to have Journey though, but
Yeah.
I still want to meet Zach.
Okay.
Um, so we'll definitely have to do something. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I know you got to start getting ready to go pick Zach up from where he's at. So thanks so much. And remember, folks, go ahead and give us a follow. We have an Instagram page now. It's We Don't Owe You, SHI period T. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Kayden X Official. And remember, we don't owe you shit. Have the day you deserve.